Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are here, myself, Taylor Field,
and Reuben Olsen.
Yes, and you know what? This is a very special episode because, it's a Kaiju Cast. Seems like it's always me and Reuben dishing out the stuff on the Kaijus. We were there for Pacific Rim 2. It's just, it's the way she goes, and this is, here we are. So we are here because it is time of the king. His reign, Godzilla, king of the monsters, has, graced us with his presence in theaters. And, we're going to be reviewing it here in this nice little review. We will start off with non-spoilers, just a little bit of our thoughts and stuff, and then we will go 3, 2, 1, and then break off into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, pause here, go see it, then come back, or if you don't give a flying hooch, then you can just, stick around and enjoy. So, trying to think if there's anything I need to shout out right now. No, I think I'll just do my shoutouts at the end of the episode. So, Reuben, what did you think of this in a non-spoilers way?
In a non-spoiler way? Well, okay, let's start off by saying that if you're already a fan of Pacific Rim and you didn't mind Pacific Rim 2, which was not as good as the first film, and you just like the giant monster-on-monster action, it's exactly what this movie is. It's just pure, glorious, giant monster porn. Monster on monster action, lots of it. And if you love Godzilla and like the original Godzilla films, maybe not like, there's no campiness here really, but this was just, I love this shit. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it really got you going there.
Character-wise, a lot of people have been saying that there's not enough character development, there's not really much of a story going on. That's true. It absolutely fails in that aspect, and that's not what I went for. I already heard about that. I wasn't expecting it. I mean, I like my monster porn.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you in that sense. I didn't realize that, there were so many bad reviews coming out from all the poor story progressions, I guess, for the actors and the humans in the movie.
Which I understand.
Yeah, I understand that as well, but I mean...
That wasn't the point.
It definitely wasn't the point, and that's totally okay, I like the story progression of, the monsters and, their journey from point A to point B. I thought that was fantastic, and, I mean, at the end of the day, did the character stuff really bother me? No, I can definitely overlook it, because there was so much gloriness that just, surpassed it.
Better than Game of Thrones Season 8?
Yeah.
No hesitation.
No, I will give it that. This was definitely, in some ways, yes and no, but a lot of ways, yes. There's just so much going on for this new addition to this franchise, and it just had so many good kind of nostalgic feelings and callbacks to other these previous films in the whole Godzilla kind of universe, and I love that. Other than that, I don't really know what else I can say non-spoilers wise. I mean, it was visually just stunningly, or my eyes were melting out of pure satisfaction.
There was a lot of that. Maybe there is the rainy scenes and the stormy scenes. It was really dark. It was like the first Pacific Rim in that aspect, where you never really got a clear look at the monsters, and maybe that was just to save on making things look too CGI-ish,
Do you think the 3D kind of has that kind of what's the word? Kind of holds you back, I guess, because the 3D, I feel like it can kind of worsen those scenes a little bit.
It's like they want to save on those daytime shots where you look at something and go, oh, that's not real, right? You can't just show all these giant monsters just standing out there in a field in the daylight, because then that really ruins the immersion when you start to see how CGI things are.
Oh yeah, it's like the Jurassic Park approach. They showed the T-Rex mostly in dark and the rain and stuff like that, because this is CGI scenes.
There's a lot of that, so it's a very muddy film in that aspect. But I mean, with all the other stuff that's coming out, that's out there, if you're not into getting a critical developmental film, then you just want some pure mindless fun, this is fun. It's good in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, it's Godzilla, so you basically know what you're getting into if you want to see this movie or not. If you don't like monster movies, then, you know, you don't really have a point in seeing this. But, I mean, if you watch Pacific Rim and it tickled you and, you know, you're in your funny bone area, if it tickled you where you had a little bit of an itch, even though you're not into monster movies that much, then you know what? You probably will like this. Maybe that's a little bit of a... It's probably a very bold claim, but... I personally, if I had my way, I would say everyone should go, you know, watch this movie. But that would be in a perfect world.
In a world of brainless people like us, yes.
Yes, yes.
So I think that kind of, we both agree on that. That kind of sums up is the movie good in this aspect? Yes. In the aspects that critics want? No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Well, critics, I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, like, yes, we are critics in our own way, but I feel like I'll never be able to relate to critics in the sense where they look at things.
I guess it's not good to really lump critics like that into one big category. It's that if you're looking for story and development and a deep meaning to the film, it's not really there unless you really dig deep and search for it and go, maybe this is something to do with, like, atomic bombs like the original Godzilla?
Yeah.
Maybe not quite, considering a lot of things that happen, but... yeah, no, I think that kind of sums it up for the non-spoilery part. It's really hard to talk about anything without ruining just the mindless fun, because you can't describe anything without spoilers, because what's there is so light that to describe a scene is to describe a major part of the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't be like, oh, this was pretty cool, and then leave the rest of the film for the audience. So you gotta go see it if you want that action.
You're right, so that's where we're gonna head now. So, when I get to one, I need you to say, GeekVerse assemble. After I say one.
What? Okay.
It's a thing. It's like it's a GeekVerse thing. So I'm gonna count down, and you gotta say it. If you don't say it, we're fucked.
Oh.
Royally
Okay.
fucked. Okay. Right. 3, 2, 1.
GeekVerse assemble.
Oh, thank fuck, we're in. We made it, ladies and gentlemen. We're in spoiler territory right now, so be cautious. Okay, this movie starts off literally right as the first one ends.
Pretty much, yes. Starts off right from the end of the last one, and then it starts introducing you to all this other crazy shit. Like, whoa, look, there's more monsters. There's Mothra. And it's just like a larvae egg thing.
Yeah.
And then our main girl, Madison.
Yeah, crazy coincidence.
Yeah. She's, you know, been into some Stranger Things lately, but she's really got her focus on this larval egg, you know? We get to see them in, like, a home first, actually. Let's backtrack a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
It was kind of weird, because it's like, oh, they're living somewhere nice, and there's nice things happening, and maybe they're watching some monster stuff on TV. No, they're actually, like, out there in the rainforest, and they're right there. That's not really much of a home. It's more like a trailer, I guess.
Well, it looked like some rundown cabin in the middle of the
Amazon. Yeah, that's what it was. Okay.
So, but it was like, yeah, I'd live there, 100%.
A little cabin in the woods. So we get to that part, and just basic character introductions. There's really nothing deep there in the film. And it's just about them like, whoa, we want to monitor this Mothra thing. And her mom, whose name I can't remember, I'm not good at that.
Yeah, I can't remember it either.
It's
supposed to show up the poor, I guess, character for development in this movie.
The mom is developing a sound device thing that basically throws out an alpha call so that you can get the monster's attention. Be like, hey, yo, don't hurt me. I'm your master. You are my little monster pet. But not so little, but a lot of monster. And they roll with that, and then all of a sudden, friggin' Tywin Lannister comes in, he's like, I want this shit. And he takes the mom, and he takes Madison, and they go away. And then Mothra's like hatching during all this, and it's just like a larval thing and escapes. And then they go to wake up Ghidorah, and we go from there.
Yeah, it really escalated very quickly. I love seeing Mothra. I mean, we got to see Godzilla first, but I love seeing Mothra kind of follow in there because I'm just getting flashbacks of like Godzilla games I play, like Godzilla Save the Earth and Godzilla Unleashed and all that stuff on Wii and Xbox. But I think it was Mothra Larva was super fantastic.
There's a Wii Godzilla game?
Oh, there's a few, yeah.
Ooh, okay, I wasn't aware of this.
Super, super cool. A old school Wii, like Wii, not Wii U.
Oh no, I figured, yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was confused about.
Yeah. a large roster of characters, which
we should play some Godzilla games.
We really need to. I only have the one for Xbox, the original Xbox, but there's one on PS4.
Oh, I saw. Yeah, you made a post about that.
Really want to try that one, and yeah, there's the one for
that
Wii.
one looks good.
Actually, I'm gonna grab this and be like, aha, Godzilla.
Oh, classic Godzilla.
So, yeah, no, you're right. They basically dive right into it, and you get to see Mothra. And, you know, I kind of had a hunch that the mom was kind of sinister in origin. I feel like you got something here. What do you got?
Yeah, I have to hide it from the audience for now, so I'm going to be quick about it. But what if this is what they're building up to with the after credits scene?
Oh,
right?
I didn't even think of that. Oh, that totally slipped my mind.
Let's come back to that after for all of you out there.
Yeah, we won't say it yet.
Carry on.
Okay. Whoa, goosebumps. Yeah, so I kind of thought the mom had kind of a sinister agenda based on the trailers for the movie, but I started to think, okay, no, she's actually good. And for me, I really enjoy a movie like, you get a trailer that shows all these different scenes, but, you know, if you're watching a movie and the movie is really good and you forget these scenes in the trailer and it's like you're watching it for the first time in the movie, then I think the movie's on a good track. I think it's doing a good job because there are so many things that I usually, when I watch a movie, I can think, okay, this scene hasn't happened yet, it was in the trailer, and it's going to reach this point in the movie, and I kind of gauge it as I progress watching the movie, and I don't like that, it pulls me out, but for this, didn't have that experience at all. I was just so sucked into the story that was happening, and that was the case, you know, with the mom, how I thought that she was good, and I couldn't tell until she ended up getting the trigger, and even when she detonated the trigger to set Ghidorah free, I kind of thought, okay, you know, maybe she did that because they were using Madison as leverage or something. I still didn't really believe it.
That's a hard name to hear right now.
Yeah,
wow.
It's totally messed. But that being said, I thought it was super cool when we got them in the court session and Monarch was dealing with, you know, they're being grilled by the government and they're just kind of like keeping to themselves. They're not saying that, oh, you know, technically Godzilla is gone. We haven't seen him for 5 years, even though they know exactly where he is. And they have a count total of 17 of these creatures. So in my rate, I'm thinking, because in the movie we had, I'm assuming they include Godzilla. So Godzilla, King Ghidorah, Mothra, and there was the Muto, there was the spider guy, and then the mammoth, the giant mammoth.
And Rodan.
And Rodan. So they said 17.
We got
so
a brief look at Kong too. You sound like on one of the TV screens.
Right, yeah. Okay, so that's 8. So that leaves another 9 left in the on the planet. So
I think we got a look at a couple others too at some point on the TV screens, but I didn't pay attention. I'd have to watch to kind of see who they were.
Yeah. Now I know you said you wanted, and actually I'll pull up because we got their names, thankfully in here, of all the guys. So because you were wanting to see. There's Jet Jaguar, shout still on. Angurius. This is the guy you wanted, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he's an Earth Defender, so I'm pretty sure Angurius is at some point going to make an appearance. There's Baragon, Destroya, then we got Gigan. But I think Gigan is an alien, actually, just like King Ghidorah was. And obviously Godzilla, King Ghidorah, Jet Jaguar, Mechagodzilla 2, Mechagodzilla 3, Megaguirus, Megalon, and this guy that I won't say yet because we're going to get to that intense revelation, Mogira. Oh, there's Mothra Adult, Mothra Larva, Orga, which is, I believe, another alien, Rodan, and then there's Space Godzilla, which is super hype. Yeah.
I like how we're using an Xbox instruction manual for this.
It's the best way to go.
It's what's accessible to us right now. So
yeah. So how did you feel about like the monsters that we got?
I was fine with it. I mean, they could have thrown in some more, but that would have really cluttered the film. But they were on the fast track to just whip all these monsters out, because you can't, with what attention Godzilla gets in the West, you can't have an individual movie for like Godzilla versus this, Godzilla versus that. You gotta go for the classics, like Godzilla versus King Kong. Mm-hmm. But then, how does all this stuff fit together? So this is that movie where it's like Ghidorah, and here's all the rest. They're just there. And they focus on just a few of them, because I mean, how many people are going to go see this film for, they're not fans of Godzilla, they won't know who any of these monsters are, they're just like, whoa, this is a clusterfuck, right?
Yeah, exactly. They can't call it, you know, you're right, Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. People are like, I don't know who is this King Ghidorah? I'm not gonna be interested. When you say King of the Monsters, it's like, ooh, here's
Marley gets them on that track too. Just Monsterverse. Here we go.
It's the blood boiling.
I love that we got action right away too, because like all the Godzilla films, are the ones I've seen, and a lot of big monster movies, even Pacific Rim to an extent, you don't get those big monster on monster, robot, whatever action. You don't get those until like the third act.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get a little bit in the second. Pacific Rim had a little bit in the first, but it was just like a hint, and it's like, oh, I have to wait through all this character development that people want, and then people complain about it because it's not enough anyways. No, this movie gets right to it, and then second act, it's like, okay, let's slow down just a little bit, let's do a little bit of story just to keep the show rolling, and then let's go straight into the third act and just go back to all this massive monster on monster action.
Yes.
It's like, oh, thank you.
I have to say, when that first fight broke out with the people it was in the Antarctic, King Ghidorah just broke out, and that scene was intense. I'm going to pinpoint this because I made a mental note of this. When they were running to get onto their helicopter, and the squad of 10 soldiers turned around and stood their ground, opened fire on King Ghidorah, I admire, and kudos to them for thinking that they had balls big enough to actually do a little bit of damage.
That's a little tiny bullet gun.
Oh my god.
You're flicking like microscopic fleas at a giant beast thinking it'll do some damage.
And they didn't even clue into that, within the first, 30 shots. They were there for at least a few minutes still shooting at this thing.
They could have at least aimed for the eyes or something like that.
You'd think,
but we all know that wouldn't have worked anyways, because when Godzilla gets down dirty in the first fight and rips off Ghidorah's head, it's like, wow, that's glorious. Godzilla has some strength for showing, hey, this is maybe a fair fight, and then, well, not on the friggin' ice and the whole big hole in the ground, King Ghidorah's like, get down there. So, but yeah, we see that Ghidorah regenerates its head, and then
pretty quickly, that first fight was amazing. I just love seeing Godzilla come out of the ice and just his charge beam and the build up to it, like when the tail is there and you see the light just going.
I know. Maybe it is a little campy. Earlier I said this wasn't really campy, but if you want to look at it through that aspect, there's some moments where it's just like they're just doing that for the satisfaction of audience members like us.
Oh yes, and it works on me. I mean,
here's Godzilla going Super Saiyan. Like, oh man, that was glorious later too. I really love that Godzilla was powered up by an atomic bomb. And we're kind of going back and forth with the plot here, but the fact that the very, very first Godzilla was like, hey, this is this huge beast that woke up because of all the atomic bombs and everything, and this is like an anti-war movie, this is what you brought, and Godzilla's all gross and ugly and bumpy because all this radioactive material and bombs went off and made this beast. But here it's just kind of like a really quick cheesy callback, like, hey, let's feed him some atom bombs, right?
Yeah.
Let's make him strong.
So
he can come up to the surface and go streonk. But
that was also very cool when he came up to the surface, and just I love those scenes where you can. I don't want to say you can see and feel the humanity in Godzilla, but you can see that very intelligent side where he's looking at the people, and he's just, they really flush out the case and that title of him being an Earth Defender, which I love. I love throughout the whole film, they're saying there's some Titans that are good and some are bad, and Monarch is here to decipher which ones are which.
Yeah, and of course the military is all like, yeah, let's just go shoot these things. But, I mean, I guess the plot is kind of like, hey, humanity is an infection, let's go Thanos on our own asses, right? But
it's true. I mean, when you look at it, Godzilla in the second battle, when the Argo was flying and King Ghidorah was pulling up on him, and Godzilla just swoops in the water and just pulls him down, and it's just destroying King Ghidorah, rips the head off, and is just kicking the shit out of him. Then what do? Humans mess it up. King Ghidorah probably would have died there. Godzilla had it in the bag, but the the oxygen bomb obviously gave King Ghidorah the advantage.
This whole movie wouldn't have happened if the humans weren't like, let's go kill everything.
Yeah, if you pull the humans out, there'd be no Godzilla movie.
I mean, to their defense, if it worked and King Ghidorah succumbed to the bomb, that would have ended everything right there. You'd have all these other Titans, but I mean, I guess they could deal with them at their own pace until some huge one breaks out. But they fucked it up. They didn't know King Ghidorah was immune. And then Godzilla was like, oh shit, can't fight. What my brothers do to me.
Which was super cool because he went back to like, I loved how they explored more into the Hollow Earth theory, and I love that we got this whole ancient city that was like a whole tribute to Godzilla, which is where Godzilla actually rests and stuff. That was just so cool. So, make sure that's still recording. Oh, beautiful. Gosh, I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, every time Godzilla was on screen this time around, it was nice to see an actual full-on fight. Not that they didn't have that in the other 2014 Godzilla, but in that case, every time Godzilla popped up, it like kind of cut out and went to the character development.
Yeah, I hated that, honestly. And a lot of it, too, was just Godzilla, like, stomping through buildings and shit. Which, to be fair, 2014 Godzilla, I heard this online, I don't know if it's true, but he has the exact same amount of screen time as the original Godzilla film.
Really?
In 2014 in the original, Godzilla's on screen for the same amount of time.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Where's it gonna lead to?
Well, we kind of jumbled our points here, but we're kind of going through the second act right now. We haven't really gotten to the third.
Yeah, the second act. So they were just popping out Fire Rodan.
Yeah, so like King Ghidorah's up on the volcano or whatever, and it's like, hey, and Rodan bows to him, and it's like, yo, this is like the alpha. So that's a thing. And then they're all like, hey, we gotta get Godzilla to come fight this shit. So they want to power Godzilla up. That's where I was going with the atom bomb thing. So they power up Godzilla to become a weapon to like fight and gain back his alpha status. And then Mothra hatches from her cocoon thing. And it's like, yo, this is like a symbiote for Godzilla. Like, they're kind of like, they have a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
So Mothra doesn't seem to be affected by Ghidorah's call. I think it's because she was cocooned. She didn't hear the call, maybe?
I'm not necessarily sure, because the way I look at Mothra is on like some other tier of like... Mothra's on like her own tier because of what she's capable of. Like, she helped rejuvenate Godzilla.
I'm not familiar with the classic films, so I don't know much about Mothra herself. Maybe she's deaf and can't hear, or maybe there's like, maybe she just really wants to be around that Godzilla because it's worth it for her. She just knows that Ghidorah is not going to be like some worthwhile thing, but
rage power. So yeah, no. Not that this book, the game is gonna help me,
controls.
But just control.
But it shows you all our combo attacks. Yeah, so it was kind of just Godzilla and Mothra fighting against everything else, wasn't it?
It was. I loved when, like, that final scene where it had all four, where you had King Ghidorah fighting Godzilla, and then Mothra came in and like shot the, like the silk stuff at King Ghidorah, and then Fire Rodan and swooped in on Mothra. Like, just having all four go at it was just so cool. I was so sick, and I felt so bad when Mothra kind of kicked the can, but like when she whipped out her stinger and totally fucked up Rodan like that, I was like, oh, that's sick. For a second, I thought Godzilla grabbed Rodan and was doing something, but no, Mothra can like hold her own, which is great, because I just think, you know, many people probably don't think of Mothra as being like a super capable kind of titan amongst all of them, but no, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And of course they incorporated, obviously, the Mothra twins, as I call it, the two ladies that are always there to like summon Mothra from like the older films and stuff like that. So that was super cool. But yeah, the second act though, yeah, Fire Rodan wakes up, and when he flew over that city and just people were getting sucked up into the air, like, and he was just trailing like volcanic whatever off of his wings. That was nuts. And I loved it when he started chasing the Argo and he was going in, and cinematically this was absolutely amazing.
Cinematically, it's a really good recipe for destruction. There's a lot of flavor to it, but it's really cinnamony.
Really cinnamony. Extremely.
And cinematic, but anyways, carry on.
Yeah, so that scene when the Gold Squadron, I think they had like 10 or 15 jets, just break off and just start engaging Rodan. Oh, I was like, oh, this is so cool. This is like an epic battle in the sky. I love this. And Rodan's doing like, do a barrel roll, and just totally takes out all the jets. Oh, so good. But other than that, those sequences they kept lining up were great, and I loved it when I can't remember the guy's name, Mark or something, the dad, they realized he's like, you know, they were talking for the Asian guy that I'll talk to to him.
The Asian guy.
The old Asian guy who was in the first
Wow.
Godzilla movie. I know, I apologize. But he was in the first movie, and he was the guy who was always like, no, let Godzilla fight. You know, we just stand back and let them fight. And the guy was kind of quoting him, because that guy passed away, so this other scientist was quoting him. And then the dad character in the movie was like, why let them just fight? No, this time we're gonna join the fight or whatever. And then that led obviously.
That was in the trailers, yeah.
It was in the trailers as well, yeah. And that led to then leading the third act when Godzilla is like going up to King Ghidorah. You got the jets flying over his back and stuff. It's like, oh, you know, this is so cool.
And I love that they kind of pointed out like he's our ally for now.
Yeah, like what are they, you know, kind of hinting at there? Like that could lead to something pretty crazy.
So, really getting into this third act bit here, so all that action and fighting and Ghidorah, there's like all this stuff happening. Holy cow, man, there was a lot of action in the end there. There was a lot of chaos. And I have to admit, I was a little distracted when the people next to me were like flicking popcorn at each other and they kept hitting me. So I missed just a little bit of some scenes there.
Between that and there was a little tiny child behind
I
us.
heard
Like,
it was just too much for him.
oh, yeah.
Or he was really enjoying it.
Oh, God. Just, I have a serious, like, this is opening night of Godzilla. Why are you bringing your, like, 9-year-old, 8-year-old kid? I don't even think, you know...
In their defense, it's hard to find a babysitter sometimes. And if your kids behaved enough, it wasn't that bad. You could have had a crying child behind us.
It's true. On a scale of 1 to 10, they were definitely at about, like, a 4 or 3. And that's me being generous.
I don't think the film was necessarily appropriate for a little kid either. That's terrifying.
They said fuck in that movie. At least once.
There are some scary scenes. That would scare me as a kid. I don't know what kids are like nowadays. But, yeah, no, I mean, I kind of get both sides of it.
Fair enough.
It's annoying to have a kid in the theater when you're viewing it, but, and I'm not one yet, but, or anytime soon, hopefully, oh God. But as a parent, I'm sure, from their perspective, it's really difficult to go and enjoy things when everyone's always attacking you for having this kid in the theater, right?
Yeah.
And I totally get that, because like sometimes I go to the theater with my nephews and they can be really rambunctious with their personalities and mental health issues and stuff like that, and it can be hard. You have to remind them, just be quiet. And it's always suffering on you, and you don't want them to harass anyone else, and it just happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not that big a deal, but it can really... There's just nothing you can do about it at a certain point.
I don't remember that ever happening so much like when I was younger and I would go into the movies all the time. So that is either, I just don't remember because I was young,
You were
or
contributing
I was the
to
one
it.
doing it.
Yeah, I was about to say that. You're probably contributing to it.
That's why I hate it so much now. But gosh, yeah, no. God, where was I gonna head to after
We
this?
were in the third act. We're just going off the rails. It's late. It's probably almost like, yeah, it's 10:30 p.m.
Oh boy.
Been up all day.
The older guy from Eastern Lands. Now is that better?
I guess. I don't know.
It was very sad seeing him go, but I loved how he went out. I loved how he got to actually put his hand on Godzilla, and Godzilla was watching him, you know, trying to kind of like understand. I don't know.
This is much less of a review. This is just nerdgasms.
It is nerdgasms.
That's all this is.
And that's okay. That's okay. I'll take it. Total nerdgasms. This movie was just so good.
You should put it in the description. This is just nerdgasms.
It's just a nerdgasm. I will put it in there.
Spoiler nerdgasms.
Are Taylor and Reuben nerdgasming together, or are they
just like
choking on their disbelief?
Cut from the podcast to just outside the door as you're moaning from like the office. Then it comes back and we're still reviewing, but yeah, no. Okay, carry on with the third act though. Let's
third act, yeah. So they kind of figure out. At least the mother scientist had this plan where they could actually go to Fenway Stadium, and they could actually use the Orca bioacoustics device that they invented that sends the signals of the alpha signals to the other Titans.
To the stadium. That was the daughter. Wasn't
the
it?
daughter, yeah, because she heard through the speakers,
right.
and she was like, "Okay, you know what? I'm gonna take this under my own wing. I'm gonna go out there and do it." So she did that, and that was actually super scary when King Ghidorah like landed, and she unplugs it, and he's just like looking through the window. It was terrifying, absolutely nuts.
Jurassic Park vibes there. The T-Rex looking through the Jeep.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but it was super cool. She manages to get out of there, and she goes, and her dad is coming off of the Argo because everyone's engaging with Godzilla to fight King Ghidorah now, and so he's distracted, and the dad kind of lands, and I love it because as soon as the helicopter lands and the soldiers, they all start going out, the two soldiers that walk out first get totally obliterated. Like, oh, what a shot to morale if you're in the back row. They got
destroyed by anime lightning. It was great.
But yeah, leading that, they find the bioacoustics machine, and then the dad's like, Madison, Madison! But no one's gonna hear shit. Godzilla and King Ghidorah are pounding away up there. You're not gonna hear anything in this storm.
We're just summarizing the film, that's all we're doing.
That's all my reviews, it's just summarizing it and recapping it. But, yeah, eventually they do find her, thank God. And I felt kind of bad for how the mom went out, but because she would have been incinerated by Godzilla's, like, rage mode, but then again, like, I understand why she did it. She couldn't put the bioacoustics device on the helicopter like they were going to plan to do, because then King Ghidorah would follow them, and she didn't want to put her daughter in danger. So, yeah, I thought it was very, courageous how she just kind of drove off with it, and King Ghidorah was trying to get her, but when Godzilla comes in full rage mode and just does this charge beam and just incinerates King Ghidorah's wings, oh my god.
That big blast. He does that a couple times too. Honestly, although I was kind of disappointed by that move, I didn't want it to be just some kind of like blah, big ball of energy. I wanted it to be like another blast from his face. Yeah. That was always so cool.
Yeah, that would have been super, super cool.
If you could have like grabbed two of Ghidorah's heads and like blasted the middle one or something.
So
but
sick.
We still kind of got that later. After the blast and Ghidorah is almost incinerated, you see Godzilla come out of the rubble with the severed head of Ghidorah.
They made it look like Ghidorah was still alive.
Yeah.
That's what they were going for. But
yeah,
right.
It got me for a second there, and then you see Godzilla's like munching on it, and there's incinerates it everywhere. That was pretty sick.
His beam attack, I'm glad he doesn't use it all the time, because he only used it like, I could count on my fingers how many times he used it in the movie. Like,
twice.
Was it twice?
The original?
In this one.
In 2014, he used it like twice, right?
Yeah, he only used it just, maybe even the one time, I think, when he like broke Muto's jaw and like went and shot the beam down his throat, I think. But like in this movie, he didn't even use it that many times. He used it more than twice, but like even then, like I love it when he would fire it at King Ghidorah, and either blast King Ghidorah backwards, or like King Ghidorah would like dodge with its like heads around the blast thing or whatever, and like retaliate with his blast. But yeah, I totally agree. If he had in his rage mode a full-on charge blast, that would have been cool. A part of me really wanted their blast to hit and kind of like Godzilla's to overpower it.
Go full anime.
Full anime, full Godzilla Xbox Save the Earth game mode.
I'm glad they didn't do that, because as a weeaboo, I've seen enough of that shit.
Seen enough of it?
Yeah.
It's been exhausted.
I've been exhausted from that, but I guess from someone who hasn't seen all that, that's gonna be kind of cool, but yeah.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, you're right, they hinted at Godzilla being, maybe bad in the future or whatever, but that scene leading up to him kind of, after he kills King Ghidorah and the other monster Titans show up, and Godzilla's just kind of like staring them down, stares at Rodan down.
And they start bowing.
That was sick.
You are the one on the Iron Throne, Godzilla. Yes, you are.
Oh, it was so cool seeing them all bow. It was funny how this Muto bowed, and yet in the other Godzilla movie, those Mutos just kind of were trying to be alphas or assert dominance.
Can I just say I'm disappointed that Jonah guy, the Game of Thrones actor who plays Tywin Lannister,
yeah,
he should have died in this film on the toilet.
On the toilet?
There should be a running gag for him in all of everything he's involved in.
That's good you brought him up, because he's actually who sends us off in the post-credit scene. Yes, there is a post-credit scene. You have to stay to the very end to watch it.
Yeah.
Which leads us to
the first Ghidorah head that Godzilla ripped off and was dropped in the ocean. They recover that, so maybe Ghidorah can recover because he's so regenerative. Or maybe they're gonna make a Mechagodzilla for some reason, which we have no backstory for yet.
Where is he in this booklet? Mecha King Ghidorah His moves include triple smash, twisted assault, lunge.
Okay.
But yeah, no, Mecha King Ghidorah, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, literally, well, he has 2 regular heads in this, and then 1 robotic head. But honestly, they could recreate him however the hell they want, because even his wings and everything are all metal in this. So
when they bring in the mecha stuff, if they do that in the cinematic universe, I have no idea how they're going to incorporate that without going full camp. But I feel like they're really leading up to that. I mean, movies right now, especially like the Marvel films, Endgame went full camp at the end, but because they built up to it, because it's like the world's most expensive TV show, basically, they moved away from all the seriousness of the original films and just went to full, like, hey, this is comic book territory now with all these people coming out of portals and shit. That was great. But this, too, I feel like they're just letting it go. The original Godzilla film, it had a little bit of camp, but they really improved upon how the other Godzilla film we got in the West, which shall not be named, was trying to be, you know, normal. This just went like, yeah, let's just be Godzilla. And then this movie was like, let's go right back, even bring in Godzilla's theme song. That was just, oh, yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And then they went full camp there at the end.
Full camp.
I like how I started by saying they didn't do any camp, and I'm saying they went full camp, but yeah.
But you know, I'm okay with that. I would love to see if in another film, Mecha King Ghidorah come in. It makes me wonder now because Mechagodzilla was made out of the bones of one of Godzilla's species, and they have the bones from the first Godzilla movie. So, because if you look at, I think that Muto broke out in that cavern, they were bones of a Godzilla, because they were like, oh, is this him? And they're like, no, this is a different one or whatever. So I'm wondering, you know, they could have taken those bones and this whole time be working on Mechagodzilla. So whatever kind of shit happens, if Godzilla does go bad, like they're kind of predicting here, the next film, they could just whip out Mechagodzilla out of that.
I think our next film's going to be King Kong.
It will be, yeah.
Versus Godzilla, and then we might get some more Ghidorah action later. I don't know, maybe Ghidorah's going to make a surprise appearance. King Kong versus Godzilla? I'm gonna bet you it's gonna start with them fighting, and then they team up at the end to defeat this new Ghidorah.
Or like a BVS kind of situation.
Yeah.
Batman and Superman. Yeah. And you know, actually, I would be totally down for that because I don't want King Kong to die. I don't want Godzilla to die. I love both of them. Maybe Godzilla. I love Godzilla more, but you're absolutely right. If they do fight each other at first, that's okay because the end credits heavily imply that there was a lot of stuff going on Skull Island in the newspaper articles. And then he was even showcasing on, you could see like pictures that they had of cave carvings of King Kong jumping in the air and Godzilla standing like back or whatever like that. So obviously there's a lot going on with Skull Island. Yeah. So
that's gonna be great. Well, I think we've pretty much summarized the whole film. Is there anything we've missed? Anything we wanted to discuss? Any critical points for the review, the spoiler review part, or
points? I don't really have anything critical. Just I love this movie. I guess this will be my final thoughts, and then I'll go into my rating. But I love this movie. The score was fantastic. That OG theme of Godzilla that they threw in here at the end when he's rising out of the water, when he's fighting King Ghidorah at the end, it was just absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend you listen to the score. And me as a fan, you know, I love the kaiju stuff. I'm a big fan of Godzilla and Toho monsters, so I highly recommend, you know, go see this movie. If you're not into just, you know, the blunt fighting, monsters, destruction, all that, then, you know, maybe it's not for you. But that being said, it isn't all just blindless destruction. You know, Godzilla, he is displayed as an intelligent, you know, character that has development throughout this story, and, you know, it's just they dive into that so well, and everything else that they did in this movie I loved. Again, the human progression and human character development didn't bother me that much. I could overlook it because, you know, I'm going to this movie because I want to see the king of the monsters, not the king of the humans, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
So my rating is gonna be, I feel like I'm just on a super high right now. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I know Travis is going to be like, 10 out of 10. Oh my god. You know, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 because I love this movie so bloody much.
That's one thing this review is missing is you and I are both in agreement. We love the film. I love the film. We're just complimenting each other and summarizing it and having an orgasm. There's no one here to give that, I hated it.
Yeah.
There's no one here to give all those negatives out. To really, really embellish on that, you know. What are you guys doing? You should have come. Calling you out.
There you go. Dylan, he would have came. If I could have guaranteed Jet Jaguar was in this movie, Dylan would have been there. Absolutely. This is like main go-to guy. But anyways, Reuben, tell us what do you think, and then give us your rating.
I love the film. I mean, that's me. It's mindless fun. It's not a critically great film by any means, but for the West to get a Godzilla movie like this, I love it. I love giant monster battles. I love my giant robots and stuff. You know, I'm a big fan of that. I'm a full-on, unfortunately, I'm a weeaboo. But this is the kind of stuff I want to go see more of. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for the sequels. I can't wait for more. Give me some more Pacific Rim, please. I so badly, like, I don't want to go into fan fiction here, but if they had a Pacific Rim crossover, or just hinted to one at the end, oh, I would have melted inside. My heart is ready for that. I need more of this mindless action. I don't like the films that are just completely mindless, where it's like, oh, explosions, it's Michael Bay, look, some Transformers, or it's like, hey, look at these no character developments fighting. This is just something on another scale. That's what I love about these kind of movies, is it's the mindless action, but done well, you know? I love that. I love the campiness and the cheesiness. Like, I guess there's maybe a certain amount of knowledge almost required from growing up watching cartoons and stuff and anime and all that fun crap that doesn't have a whole lot to it, but as a child it stands out to you with all of its colorful glory, and you find a deeper meaning in it as a kid. You go, wow, I love these giant monsters doing these things, and you start to explore it in your head. You have an imagination, you know? That's what it's all about.
Very well said. So what would you give this out of a 10?
I mean, I was just letting shit fly out of my mouth. I don't know what I was saying. I never do on these reviews. But out of what, sorry?
A 10.
I have to give it that kind of a rating?
Well, what kind of rating would you want to give it?
Man, I would give this...
You give it a word rating.
A clean bag of unopened socks out of 10. You know, when you go to the store and you're like, these are some new fine socks, they don't smell, there's nothing wrong with them, I can't wait to put them on, they're going to be comfy. That's this film. There's nothing else that you do with the socks. You just walk all over them. There's no meaning to them. There's nothing behind them. But they feel nice. You know?
Yeah, I can respect that. Okay. Yeah. Well, you heard it here, folks. A clean pair of socks out of 10 and a 10 out of 10 for Godzilla King of the Monsters. And I think that wraps up our spoilers review.
Summarization.
Summarization. So I will shout out, you know, if you want some more Godzilla kind of content, you can check out my Godzilla reviews for the Netflix anime original series for Godzilla. Part 1, 2, and 3. I did the other day. I actually just put out Godzilla 3, the Planet Eater, I believe it was called, with King Ghidorah on that versus Godzilla. Which you might enjoy them, those animes, Godzilla animes. They're not too
watched
shabby.
them yet.
They're pretty good.
We still have to watch Shin Godzilla.
We have to watch Shin Godzilla, and you know, you may or may not get a review for that down the road if we can somehow squeeze that into the schedule, because that would be fantastic to do. But other than that, make sure you're tuning into all of our social medias. You know, we got an X-Men poll that's going on right now on our Facebook, so you get on there, vote for your favorite X-Men characters. But yeah, make sure that you check us out on iTunes, leave us a rating and a review. We're trying to get to 200 reviews, I believe Travis told me to say. 200 reviews, that's our goal. And, you know, check us out, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Patreon, Podbay. You know, we have tons of stuff on our Patreon you can get early, like Clone Wars retrospectives, you know, tons of content. And, yeah, I think that is it.
Yeah,
so,
that about wraps it up. See you
in the search bar.
Yeah.
Have a good one.